If some appropriate official approaches you and asks you for the bottles and shows you some identification, you may give them to him.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May the witness be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
I will call Mr. DeCosta to the stand.
Be seated and state your name.
Thomas DeCosta.
Mr. DeCosta, you were interviewed on the evening of April 4, 1996 by Investigator Osti, who is seated to my immediate left, and by an investigator Worthen at the West Los Angeles Police Station at approximately 9:25 p.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How long did you talk with him, if you know?
The only recollection I have on that was told to you of what I heard around 2 hours or so, or more than that.
Do you recall how long you talked?
2 hours and a half, probably about.
Do you recall in your conversations with Investigator Osti and Investigator Worthen telling them about certain letters that were to be found at 1531 South Bedford Street in Los Angeles?
Once again, to the best of my recollection, since I have been told so many things, and this was very important, I assumed that I had told him that.
Do you recall on April 4, 1996, discussing certain letters that were to be found at 1531 South Bedford Street in Los Angeles with Investigator Osti and Investigator Worthen?
The answer is yes.
Do you recall what exactly you did tell them?
I didn't understand your question.
What did you tell them, if anything, about the letters?
That there were letters that were addressed to me by my deceased wife that I think were very important in this case.
Did you tell them why you thought they were important?
I can't answer that question.
You don't know, or you don't recall, or what?
I don't recall.
Do you recall telling Investigator Osti and Investigator Worthen on that particular occasion that the decedent had come at you with a shiny object that you believed was a knife?
I will object to the question as being leading.
Objection sustained.
Do you recall discussing with the investigating officers Osti and Worthen about the events that preceded the death of your wife?
Yes, I do.
Did you discuss with them the fact that you had been given medication by the decedent?
Yes, I did.
Did you discuss with them at all receiving some injections?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever tell either Investigator Worthen or Investigator Osti that you received these injections either on that day, April 4, or the previous day?
Again, I believe I told him that, but not during when they were running the tape. It was in another room, and he was checking me for any injuries.
Was he giving you, strike that, was he searching your body or person?
Yes, he did one of the two. I don't know exactly who did.
You are not aware whether it was Investigator Osti or Investigator Worthen who you told this to?
No, I wasn't aware of everything. I was very upset, so I cannot tell. It was one of them.
Did you ever discuss a Band-Aid that was on any part of your anatomy?
Yes, I did. That was my arm right here, and I took it off and I showed them.
Indicating the middle of the left arm.
Yes.
Would you indicate that you said with regard to that bandage?
I beg your pardon?
Would you indicate what you told the officer with regard to this Band-Aid or bandage?
I believe I said I could show that it was a spot that I had been given a shot in.
And did you indicate to the officer when that shot had been given, in your opinion?
I didn't understand your question.
Did you indicate to the officer that evening when that shot had been given?
That probably was the day before.
I will object to the answer as not responsive to the question, Your Honor.
Sustained. The answer may be stricken. The question was, did you tell the officer when you had received that shot?
Your Honor, I guess I answered the day before.
You told the officer you had gotten the shot the day before?
That is correct.
All right.
Did you indicate to either Officer Worthen or Officer Osti that you had been receiving medication regularly from your wife?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you indicate where this medication was that you had been receiving?
I can't recall where the vials were located. Is that what you are asking me?
Yes.
If I did, I said it was in the premises of the house, but I cannot recall if I said so.
Did you indicate to them that you, strike that. Did you indicate to either Officers Worthen or Osti that you had been attacked by the decedent?
Yes, I did.
Would you tell the court exactly what you told the police officers on that evening?
Well, I won't be able to tell exactly what happened, not in the exact words, just the facts.
Tell us what you recall you told the officers.
That I was in bed. It was around noontime probably. I wasn't aware of the time, but I assume it was about 2 and noontime because there was a basketball game on and I wasn't paying attention to the game because I couldn't concentrate. But I realized that I was intoxicated.
Now, you told this to the officers.
I am not quite sure.
Did you tell them how you were intoxicated?
Through medicines or probably through that shot too.
And were these medicines and this shot given to you by your wife?
Yes, sir.
I will object to that as being compound, Your Honor,
You mean as to the medicines?
and the shots.
Do you know what the shot was?
No, sir, I never did. She used to give me shots without telling me what it was.
The answer may stand. The objection is overruled.
Continue, please.
Well, as I said, I wasn't aware what was going on, and suddenly I heard some noise and a voice, and she was coming from probably the kitchen or the living room, and she was yelling words, unintelligible words, probably in a different language. I couldn't tell which language it was, and she stood at the master bedroom. She stayed there for a little while. I can't tell you how many seconds. Still screaming, still yelling, and disconnected words, as I said, and I could see something that was glittering in her hands.
What did you believe that to be?
Well, I assume after what happened, that was a knife and a hammer. That was the weapons that were found in the bedroom later on. I couldn't see from there because I said I wasn't in good shape and the lights, it was very dim. Besides, that apartment is very dark. There was only the TV on, but I could see something that was flashing. My English is very poor, but suddenly she started speaking some loose words in English, such as, I can recall the last one for sure, headhunter. That was clear in my mind, and the other one that I am in doubt, it was dead or death, and then she brandished those things. She came against me.
I am defense attorney, Mr. Tucker, Tucker.
I am the court.
I am the witness.
I am for the plaintiff, Miss Quinn, Quinn.
Okay, I am starting off question. Ready? Mrs. King, you have indicated that Mr. Mann is providing a father figure for the children. Am I correct?
Yes.
They call him Daddy?
No.
And how long has he been providing this father figure for these children?
Oh, about 5-6 months.
And has that been in the home basically?
Yes, and outside when we take him on picnics.
I take it you also show the children how much you two feel for each other, do you not? You let them know how you feel about each other, don't you?
Objection to the question as vague and ambiguous.
I don't know if it's vague and ambiguous. I'm not quite sure how relevant it is.
Objection also on that ground.
What is the relevance, Mr. Tucker?
I think it's relevant to show her behavior before the children. I won't even go into how.
If you're looking for more severe behavior, you can get right to that.
It's not too easy to get right to it. I know the court's anxious to get finished, but you recall I just started my case last time.
It seems irrelevant. Go ahead, sir.
Seems irrelevant?
That they show feelings for each other. I would presume they would, see. She says they love each other, or she loves him, and they plan to get married.
I take it also you stay in the same bedroom, do you not?
No.
You don't stay in the same bedroom?
I'd rather not discuss my private life.
Do you stay in the same bedroom?
I would object, Your Honor.
Your private life becomes part of that is one of the reasons we cleared the courtroom. It becomes part of the situation we are dealing with because it was one of the reasons that we have the order that you are not to have anyone stay there. Mrs. Quinn?
Yes, Your Honor. My objection is that what she actually does in the privacy of the bedroom with anybody is not relevant here to the court except to the extent that the children might be exposed to it. That which the children are not exposed to and do not see or do not witness.
I'm going to object to counsel making this comment. I really should. She's been doing it all through the trial. What happens now is, how am I going to cross-examine somebody when she makes these remarks? There has been no evidence that that is the state of affairs.
I appreciate that, but she is saying she has an objection to questions concerning what she does when the children aren't present or not aware of it. I would agree that I don't think Mr. Tucker has gone into that area yet.
was anticipating. I can only object to questions as they are asked.
That is the problem.
He is asking, so far, did they stay in the same bedroom? And that certainly is one of the matters that the children would be aware of, so overrule the objection.
Your Honor, again, I would submit the relevancy of having a 4-year-old child being aware that someone is staying in the bedroom, I would think, would be relatively little because the child would not perceive what goes on in the bedroom. What difference does it make?
We're getting into the same problem now. I would think that Mrs. Quinn at this point should be admonished. We have been going through this.
I don't think she is out of line, Mr. Tucker. Finish what you were saying.
Your Honor, on the issue of relevancy, we are talking about a 16-month-old.
Are you saying a 4-year-old child won't know what is going on anyway?
Exactly. This is not a case where there are teenagers living in the home who could draw inferences from the fact 2 people were living in the same bedroom together. These little children are much too small to entertain those kinds of thoughts or draw those kinds of inferences merely from anything that goes on behind closed doors.
In terms of relevance, I'll overrule you. The question is, do you stay in the same bedroom? You and Kim. We're not going to ask you the details of your sex life or anything like that unless the children see it. It's not our business, but so far we are still within the area of relevance. So do you stay in the same bedroom in the house?
He stays on the couch.
Are you saying that he sleeps on the couch and you two don't sleep together in the bedroom?
Objection, immaterial unless the children have seen whether they actually sleep together.
We have to find out what is happening before we can talk about have they seen them, Mrs. Quinn. Overruled. Is that correct, ma'am? You're saying that he stays on the couch, does not
Yes.
sleep in your bedroom at all?
No.
Your Honor, I might indicate I have had the minor child brought to court this afternoon. We'd like to have you talk to the boy after I finish talking to Mrs. King. I would like to save some time for that.
I'll have to wait and see if there appears to be sufficient need to talk to the boy.
I think the boy can tell us what has taken place in the home.
That's what I mean. I have to determine whether or not I think that is sufficiently important in relation to the trauma to the child. Go ahead.
Your Honor, with respect to the minor child, I could, by way of an offer of proof, indicate that, certainly, I would like to talk to the child first before the court talks to him. I think that the child has a great deal of...
I don't know if I would allow that, ma'am. The point is, I'm trying to minimize trauma to the child, and the more people that have to talk to him about the problems, the worse it is for him.
I think I agree with the court, Your Honor. I have talked with the child in the past, and my impression is that it will cause a great deal of trauma to the child having to discuss the issue.
We'll cover that subject when the time comes. That is what I was telling Mr. Tucker. I'll deal with that when we further hear the testimony.
Now, what sort of emotional backing does this man, Mr. Mann, give you?
And he was the one that has kept me going through this whole divorce.
What way has he done that?
He has encouraged me to go out and get a job.
And look for work?
Yes.
And where have you looked when he was told you to look for work?
I looked everywhere. I looked at several schools. I looked at different businesses.
In other words, without him, you wouldn't have gone out looking for work?
Yes, I would have, but he just encouraged me. He has backed me up when I needed him.
And as a result of this encouragement, you found this part-time job?
Yes, partially.
Otherwise, you wouldn't even go out to look for it?
That is asked and answered.
And what sort of father figure does he give to the children?
He bathes them, clothes them, helps diaper John. He helps cook some of the meals for them. He plays with them in the house, wrestles with them, talks with Andy and John, gives them a lot of attention.
In other words, he has taken the place of Mr. King, essentially. Is that right?
He doesn't intend to take the place of Mr. King. He explained to the children that they have their father.
What have you told them about him then?
Pardon?
What have you told the children about Mr. Mann?
That's too broad. What has she told them about Mr.
With regard to his role in the home?
All right.
Your Honor, again, I'll object on the grounds of, well, first of all, it calls for hearsay, and secondly,
As to what she has told the children,
that's right.
overruled. I'm dealing with what facts are here and what she has told them, not for the truth of the matter asserted. You may answer the question, ma'am.
I haven't told them anything. Andy's come to his own conclusion.
Now, you said that you have told the children that he has not taken the place of
Right, that.
they have their own father. So you have told them something, ma'am. What have you told them about Mr. Mann?
Nothing other than he is a friend.
Did you tell them why he is in the home?
Because he comes to visit us.
Is that what you told them? He comes to visit the three of you?
Yes.
Did you tell them why he stays overnight?
Andy has never questioned.
Have you told him why he stays overnight?
No, except one time Andy did ask, and I have had some problems with people trying to break in.
Now, Andy has in fact seen you and Mr. Mann in bed together, hasn't he?
Not that I know of. Mr. Mann was in bed one time, but that's when he was ill with the flu.
You weren't there?
You mean in the bed?
I beg your pardon?
In the bed.
Yes. He saw him in the bed when he had the flu. Were you in bed with him?
Sitting on the bed.
Now, this couch you talked about is in the living room, is it not?
Yes.
That is where the TV is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that is where the children watch TV, isn't it?
Yes.
And during the evening, the children are up and around watching TV and in the bedroom. I mean, in the living room, are they not?
Yes.
And at some point, after the children go to bed, I take it Mr. Mann goes and gets undressed and sleeps on the couch, is that right? In the living room?
Well, that's where he stays.
And he stays there and gets up in the morning and leaves, is that what he does?
Yes.
And does he eat breakfast there?
No.
The only meal he eats is what? Does he eat any meal there?
Dinner sometimes.
That's it?
Yes.
So really he is a boarder there, isn't he?
No.
What is he there for?
Objection, argumentative.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What is he there for?
Sustained.
If he is not a boarder, how would you describe him then?
Objection, it's immaterial how she would describe him.
Sustained.
When did you two decide he would move into the home?
Objection, assumes a fact not in evidence, that they ever made a formal decision.
Well, decisions can be made by action or whatever. Overruled.
What do you mean, move in?
Hasn't he moved into the home?
No.
Doesn't he stay there every night?
Not every night, no.
What nights doesn't he stay there?
I can't recall.
You can't remember one night he didn't stay?
He has his own residence.
I didn't ask you that.
Ma'am, a lot of people have their own residence and may only stay there one day out of 10 years. That doesn't mean.
That doesn't mean he lives there either.
I appreciate that, but he's asking you about the time he spends in your residence. Don't argue with him, please. Answer his questions. Would you repeat the question?
How often does he, on an average, stay in your home in any given week?
4 days a week.
Is that generally on a weekend?
That is not including the weekends.
4 plus 2 on the weekend?